Hey guys, so this year I've met a ton of different band members and I wanted to tell you guys all about it because I've had a lot of cool experiences meeting some of my favorite people. I'm making this video so you guys know what some of these people are like, and so I remember little details I might forget like in 10 years or whatever. I've talked about a few of these bands, but most of them I haven't said anything about yet. There are some people that I'm going to talk about longer than other people. It doesn't necessarily mean that I like this band member more than another one. It's just, you know, maybe I just have a better story about how I met them or something. I got pictures with everybody I met this year, so let's get started. So in January, my friend texted me and was like, hey, do you want to come with me to a concert? It's only $6. And I was like, $6? Yes, I do want to go. So we saw New Politics and 21 Pilots, and after the show I met New Politics. They're actually getting more popular this year, and I heard one of their songs on the radio. We were like, oh, you guys should come back soon, we'll see you for sure. So like 2 months later they come back and we didn't see them. But even though we didn't go and see them again, you guys really should see them because they are really awesome live. The next person I met was Derek from Mayday Parade. He was kind of quiet. It was really weird meeting him because he had a beard, and I don't know, it just threw me off. Since, like, I was like, this is not Derek. Derek doesn't have a beard. So it was really weird. Like, I didn't feel like I actually met him. But he is one of my favorite singers, and I'm glad I did. Next, I met Forever the Sickest Kids. I actually don't listen to them a ton, but I've been listening to them for years. They're one of those bands that, like, I won't listen to them for a while, and then I'll hear one of their songs, and I'm like, oh, I love this band, and I'll go listen to them for a little while, and then I'll forget about them, and then I don't know. But yeah, they're just the sickest kids ever, so it was fun. Next was All-Star Weekend. A lot of people are weird about them because they started from Disney Channel, and honestly when I first saw them I was like, ugh, another Jonas Brothers, but then I was like, I actually like this band. They're actually done being All-Star Weekend right now. They're gonna like start like a new project. I talked to Cameron the most out of all of them, but they were all really nice. Next I met Motion City Soundtrack. I didn't even know that I was going to be meeting them when I met them. And we talked about the weather for some reason. The next person I met was Christopher Drew at his band happy lesson. I'm not going to really get into detail about the whole band happy thing because I have a whole video about that and I've talked about him so much. But I will talk about before I met him. It was only 10 of us at the band happy lesson and we were all talking. We're like, I can't believe we're going to meet Christopher Drew right now. I was telling them, oh, I actually had a dream a few nights ago that I missed the band happy lesson. I was so sad, and then 2 other people were like, me too, and we were just all super excited. Everyone was really nice. Nobody started like freaking out or anything. And then I remember someone was like, there he is, and he was like maybe, I don't know, 100, 200 feet away, and we all like turned around like he was like further back. Like we were all sitting under a tent and he was further back, and we all were just like staring at him for a few seconds, and then we all just turned around because we didn't want to be weird, and then he came over. It was really weird. It's like if you were watching TV and like a character walked out of the TV and you're just like, what? You're real? So it was an awesome experience. You can go watch my band happy video. The next person I met was t.mills. I met him last year at Warped Tour, and I'm not even really a fan of t.mills. Like, he has a few catchy songs, but I'm not that into him. At Warped Tour last year, he was just like having a signing, and I happened to walk by and there was like barely any lines, so I was like, guess I'm meeting him. He was like, oh, thank you so much for coming to my signing, and I didn't really talk to him much, but he seemed really nice. This time he was kind of weird. Like, he kept telling people to hurry up when he was taking pictures, and it was only like maybe 8 of us that got pictures with him, and then later when there were more people out trying to meet the bands, like, I don't know, he was being weird. He kept walking by. He walked by like 10 times, like in and out of the venue, walking past people, and every time, like, nobody was going crazy or anything, but when he walked by, people would stand up and like have something to sign or have their camera and start walking towards him, and he would just like start walking faster and start laughing, and I was like, I mean, it's okay if you have other stuff to do. I mean, I don't know, because it's part of the job to like go and meet fans, but you know, I understand if they don't feel like doing that every single night, but I don't know, he was being weird about it, like laughing when people were going to get stuff signed, and then they had this guy, it was like, it's like his one-man posse or something. Like, he kept having t.mills like high-five him, like every time t.mills said something relatively funny, he would laugh and be like, high five, and he would like laugh at everything he said and follow him around. I don't know. So, I mean, he's not a rude person, but just not my favorite person that I've met. Next person I met was David from Breathe, Carolina. He was really nice. My camera was being weird and it wasn't taking pictures, but he was really patient about it. It was pretty awesome. The next person I met was Jordan Witzegruder from the Ready Set. You know I'm a big fan because I can pronounce his last name. He was the nicest person ever. Definitely want to meet him again. He had 2 songs that he released the day before I met him, and I was like, oh, by the way, I really like the 2 new songs that you put out. He was like, really? You do? And I was like, yeah, I love them. I was actually just listening to them right before I came here. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And I don't know, it just seemed like so nice. Even if you don't like the Ready Set, if you just like him, there's something wrong with you because he's so nice. And he stayed out super long meeting fans. By the end of the night, he was like standing there like this. And I was like, are you tired? And he was like, yes, very. But he stayed out. He really wanted to meet all of his fans even though he was exhausted. And he's definitely one of the best people I've met so far. Next, I met a few members from this band called Like a Movie. I actually didn't know who they were before I saw them, but they were all super nice. I was out there with my friend and we talked to the singer. His name was Robbie. For like 20 minutes. They were just like really funny people and very sociable. I hope they get bigger. They're a really friendly band and they really like meeting people. Next, I met Charles Trippy from We the Kings, or you might know him from YouTube. He's the first YouTuber I've ever met. I met him outside by the tour buses and then I saw him again at 7-Eleven. I actually got him to sign a We the Kings CD and then like later I realized that he wasn't even in the band yet when that CD came out, but whatever. Have his autograph and he still plays those songs. So Charles Trippy, like maybe a month or 2 after I met him, I found out he was diagnosed with cancer. So I have a feeling he's gonna be fine, but yeah, go give him your best wishes and stuff. He's a really nice guy and I hope he's doing well. So the next person I met was probably the most energetic person I met. It was Kyle from Breathe, Carolina. Unfortunately, he's left the band since I've met him. He was just like a really fun person. Like, he actually came right up to me. He was like, hey, and shook my hand and he was like, what's your name? Are we gonna take a picture? All right. And he was like super, like, he was kind of crazy, but he was really funny and awesome. So I hope he's doing well and he gets back into music soon. Next, I met one of my favorite singers ever, definitely in my top 5, Travis Clark from We the Kings. He told me that he loved me twice and gave me a hug. He was just like really chill. Then I met Hunter from We the Kings. We didn't really get a really good picture, but he was nice as well. I feel like I'm just saying that everybody's nice. I mean, everybody is nice except t.mills. He was kind of weird. But, I mean, I don't know. Band members are just nice people. And Hunter is one of those people. Then I met Christopher Drew again, a second time this year. And he remembered me, which was crazy. I think I had stuff planned that I wanted to say to him, but then when I walked over there, he was like, hey, I haven't seen you in forever, and I was just like, what? You remember me? I was thinking, I wonder if he'll remember me, but I was like, probably not. Maybe he would have remembered me if I saw him like a week after the first time I saw him, but it's been 2 months, so I don't think he'll remember me again. And as soon as I saw him, he said he remembered me. And I have it on video actually. I got the whole show. It was an acoustic show. I have it on video. It's actually the first thing that comes up on YouTube if you search Christopher Drew, which is crazy. And that's because he tweeted my video. And it was weird because I looked at how many views it had and had like a few hundred. I left to do something for like 10 minutes and I went back to my computer, I refreshed the page and it had like 500 more views and like all these comments and I was like, whoa, how did this happen? And people were saying that he tweeted it and I looked it up and I was like, that is so cool. And I got my ukulele signed by him and he's the whole reason why I started playing it. I've said that before. And I've always wanted him to sign it. Before I met him at Warped Tour, I was like, I really want him to sign my ukulele, but I don't want to carry it around at Warped Tour all day because that'll be annoying and I'll be worried about it getting messed up. So I'm glad I had that other chance to, because it was just an acoustic show. We were just sitting. It wasn't like people all moving around and stuff, you know. So I wasn't worried about it getting messed up. And so I finally got him to sign my ukulele. Next, I met Ryan Dawson from my second favorite band, All Time Low. He never stopped smiling, like literally the whole time. He was just smiling, smiling, smiling. And it was great because people who smile all the time just make you happy. And he was just just a happy person, you know. I mean, why wouldn't be happy? It's an amazing band. There were a bunch of band members out there. He was playing cornhole, you know, that weird game where you like throw a beanbag into like a square of wood or something with a hole in it. And he was playing that for like 2 hours or something, and he was literally smiling the whole time. And I was like, how could you play that boring game for so long? And how could you smile for that long? But I mean, he was having fun, and apparently they had some tournament, and I think it was Ryan and Mike from Pierceville who were on a team together, and they ended up winning the whole tournament. So speaking of Mike, the next person I met was Mike from Pierceville, another one of my favorite drummers ever. I got this hat that day, and he told me that he liked my hat. He was smiling a lot too, but not as much as Ryan. The next person I met was Vic Fuentes. We saw him go into the tour bus, and like, I hope he comes back out. And like, literally, there were like maybe 3 different people that kept coming out of the bus, and like the door would open and we were like, is that Vic? And it was like, no. It was like the same 3 people. Like, I feel like they walked out of the bus more than they went back in the bus. It was really weird. But the door would open and be like, is that Vic? And then it would be like, oh, it's that guy again. And so finally the door opened again. I turned to the person next to me. I was like, I bet it's not going to be Vic. I looked back over and Vic walks out, so I turned back to them. I was like, it is Vic. So I looked back over at him and he was looking at me like, so I was just like, and then he smiled too, and we all waved at him. Then he went to like the other tour bus for a few minutes. Then he came over and said hi. Then I met Zach from Untitled. You know, everybody thinks he's super shy, but I don't think he is. I think he just doesn't feel like talking during interviews, and like, they're all just much more talkative. Like, I know sometimes he's about to say something and then like Alex will interrupt him or something. But, I don't know, he didn't seem shy. He actually seemed really comfortable talking to everybody. I don't think he's actually shy. I think he just doesn't care about talking during interviews, but he's not necessarily that quiet of a person. I don't know. But you know, yeah, he's one of my favorite people ever. I'm so happy I finally met him. Well, I've met him before actually, but just like quickly at signings. I'm glad I met him properly. The next person I met is not in a band, but he's very popular among people that listen to the kind of bands I listen to. It was Adam, Elmakeus, is that how you say his last name? I always forget how to pronounce his last name. But he's the band photographer. If you're like me and you're on Tumblr, we're blogging bands and stuff, you've probably seen some of his photography. He's the best band photographer ever. And if you disagree with me, you're wrong, because he's awesome. He had his camera with him, and then he went, I think he was getting a marker to sign with or something. But anyway, he gave this girl his camera. He was like, hey, hold this for a second. He turned around to like get a pen or something from someone, and like 3 of us at the same time said to her, don't drop it. And she was like, I'm not going to drop it. This costs more than my allowance. Then he walks back over and he was like, that camera's more than my allowance too. So yeah, he's the first band photographer I've ever met. And he's the best one. Even though he's not in a band, I thought I'd include him since a lot of people really like him. Next person I met was Tony from Pierceville. He was kind of quiet-ish, but he was really nice. And we saw Jaime walk by, and he made him come over. Like, I don't think he was actually going to come over and say hi to fans, but he was like, hey, get over here. So I met Jaime too, and there you go. Met everybody from Pierceville. Now I can check them off my list of bands that I need to meet, although I would definitely like to meet them again. Then I met Alex from A Day to Remember. He was kind of quiet too, and I didn't really talk to him that much, but he was super nice too, because everybody in bands are just nice. Everybody's just nice. So after that we saw someone walking down the alley, and I was like, I think that's Jack Bearcat from All Time Low. And oh, by the way, it's not like he was like wandering down a dark alley. It was a well lit alley, and he was just like walking. So we all looked over and were like, yeah, it is him. So we said hi to him. I think he was a little drunk. He smelled like alcohol and he was kind of weird. Like, I don't know. He seemed like kind of distant. He was like really calm and just like smiling and just, you know, alright, everything's good. Like, can we get a picture? Yeah. Can you sign this? Of course. Like, I don't know, it was kind of weird, but I met him. Again, I met him before. There was this one girl that was in a wheelchair. He started wheeling her away and was like, I'm taking you with me. You're coming on tour with me. She was just laughing, and it was funny because there were a bunch of band members and crew members out there. There were a few people that were looking over and laughing, And Ryan being one of those people, since he's always smiling, he thought it was hilarious. But some people were just like, what are you doing? Like Flyzik, if you're an all-time low fan, you'll know Flyzik. Well, he just quit, but he's been their manager for like 7 years. He was talking to someone and they saw Jack and it was like, he like stood up straight and was like, what is he doing? The next person I met was Ty from Issues. It was before the concert. I was just sitting out there. He was walking by and he was like pushing something, so I wasn't going to say anything since he was busy. But then he looked right at me and I had just put like some chips in my mouth, so I just waved. And then he was like, hi. And then after he came back out again, I got a picture with him. Then I got another picture with him after the show. He was out there skateboarding, and then he has a new iPhone where it has like slow motion, so it was like showing us a skateboard trick in like slow motion. And anyway, spoiler alert, I met everyone from Issues, and I'm just telling you this now because I'm going to explain them in the order that I took pictures with them, but that's not necessarily the order that I met them in. So yeah, they were definitely one of the chillest bands I've ever met. Like all of them really like going out and meeting fans. Some band members, they just go out, take a picture, sign stuff, and leave. But they actually were having conversations with all their fans, and they seemed to really want to get to know everybody. The next person I got a picture with was Tyler Carter. I didn't realize how short he was. Like, I just turned around. We almost walked into each other because he was walking in my direction and I was turning around at the same time. I was like, oh, and he was like, you want to take a picture? And I was like, yeah. And I'm actually taller than him. I kind of like bent down a little bit in the picture so I didn't look like a giant. Then I met Michael. I talked to him for a little while. After the show, when I was leaving the venue, I was driving and then someone walks like right in front of my car, like without even looking, and I was like, wow, this person's not even looking at where they're going. And I was like, wait a second, is that Michael? I like hit the brake and I was like, whoa. So yeah, I got kind of close to hitting Michael from Issues. It's a good thing I didn't, because probably a lot of people would be mad at me right now. And then I just rolled down the window and said hi to him again since I was talking to him earlier. Next people that I got pictures with were Josh and AJ. They were really nice. They were a little bit quieter than the other members of Issues, but they were very smiley people and they were really nice. I talked to Sky more than anyone else. He got a new phone and he was like, yeah, my phone, you can like scroll with your eyes. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, let me show you. And he was holding up his phone and like, oh no, it doesn't work very well. He was scrolling like that with his eyes. The screen, like it tracks your eyes. I was like, that's so cool. And he was like, yeah, it's like really unnecessary, but it's pretty cool. Later, a bunch of us were talking to him. He was talking about how his hat didn't fit. And he was like, yeah, I put my head forward, then left, then right, and then my hat falls off. I was like, yeah, or if you're scrolling on your phone too intensely. And he thought that was the most hilarious thing. I was like, alright, it wasn't that funny, but I feel like I gained some cool points making a band member laugh. Then I met Gabe from Sleeping with Sirens. Before I met him, I actually thought that like my favorite member was Kellen, and then Jesse and Justin, even though Jesse left, but you know, they were next, and then Jack and Gabe. But I think Gabe is like tied with Justin now, like near the top. He was just really friendly and he just seemed like really happy meeting everybody and really social. Then I met Jack and Gabe. They were nice too, but they were a little bit more serious. And Justin used my pen to sign autographs. I wanted to meet Kellen that night. Someone was saying that he was like in this restaurant down the street, and I didn't want to like show up at his table and be like, hey, can you sign this? Like that'd be obnoxious and he probably would hate me. So I'll meet him one day. But I met everybody else and they're one of my favorite bands too, so I'm really happy that I met them. Now I'll have a little story. Blackville Brides was in town and I couldn't go to their show because I had a class that night. I told my friend like a month before, I was like, hey, you need to come with me to meet some band members on this night after the show, because we both had classes that ended at like 7:10. So we were like, okay, we'll go after our classes and after the concert's over and go meet the bands. And she was like, alright. I reminded her like a week before the concert. She was like, yep, okay, we'll go. And then the day of the concert, I texted her again. She was like, oh, I can't go anymore. And I was so mad, and I was at home and I was like super miserable. And then I was like, well, I mean, my class didn't start for like 3 more hours. So I was like, I guess I'll go to the venue before the show. I went out there and just made friends with like random people that were waiting in line. And we were just talking about music and stuff. And then I met Ashley from Black Veil Brides. He was like, what are you guys doing out here so early? And they're like, oh, we just want to be first in line. And I didn't say anything because I'm not even going to the show. But I saw him at Warped Tour though, so, you know, that makes up for it kind of. He was like, I'll be right back out to talk to you guys in a minute. So he went, and because he was like holding like equipment. So he came back out, got a picture with him. He was also super nice. The main person I wanted to meet was Andy. I've wanted to meet him for like 4 years. I remember back in 2009, I was talking to my friend on Facebook, which I don't do anymore. I don't talk to people on Facebook really anymore. But anyway, she sent me a link to this video, and it was that, you know, those Captain Cold videos that Andy used to do, and I was like, what is this? And then I found out he was in a band, and I checked them out and stuff, and I was like, this guy's awesome, this guy is hilarious, and yeah, he was one of my favorite people, and I've wanted to meet him for a long time. So I was out there in line before the show, just talking to people, and then we see down the street, it's like Andy walking over. I was like, yes, finally gonna meet him, here he comes. 4 years waiting, finally. He's getting closer and closer, and then he turns down this alley and goes to the side entrance, and I was like, no. And then this one girl was like, come back, and then he like, as he's going around the corner, he like leans over and he said something, and nobody knew what he said. I ended up having to leave because my class was starting soon, so I just went back out after the show because I was like, this is my chance. I've been waiting forever to meet him, and I don't know when they'll be back in town. And so I was like, I really need to meet Andy Biersack. So I went back out after the show. The next person I met was James from Throw the Fight. I actually did not know who he was when I first met him. He was just out there meeting fans and selling CDs, and he just seemed really friendly, and I was like, he's a singer in a band. I'm gonna meet him. And I checked out his music later, and it's actually really good. So yeah, I'm glad I got a picture with him because I might be a fan of the band one day. He was a very happy person too. By the way, the concert was the day before Halloween, and so I was just talking to some people, and this one girl was like, oh, it's midnight, happy Halloween. And literally like 15 seconds later, this guy comes out. This has nothing to do with meeting bands, by the way. I just felt like adding this in because it was weird. This guy comes out wearing like a scary clown mask and a wig, and he has like a red morph suit on, and then he has fake abs under it, but the abs are like that thick, like they're like bulging, so he looks like fat and has abs at the same time, and he's like walking out like this and going in people's faces, and everybody was just looking at him like, what? So it turned out they were having a Halloween party, and one guy was like, people are probably not going to come out until like 3 o'clock in the morning. I found some people to like walk back with me to the parking garage because my mom was all worried about me walking back by myself at night. So I just made some friends with people, and I was like, hey, can you guys walk back with me? So my mom's being all weird, and I'm like, yeah. So anyway, hung out with them for a while, and then it was freezing, it was late, everyone else had left. It was like 1:50 in the morning, and we were like, okay, I guess we're leaving now. So we're walking across the street, and I was like, oh, waited all this time for nothing. Hopefully they'll be back in town soon. Glanced back across the street, and guess who walks out? It's Andy. He just happens to be the first one to leave the party. It's one street here, one street here. I'm on the side of the street over here, he's over here, and the tour buses are back here. And so he's like, he walks pretty quickly. He was like walking back to the tour bus, and we were just like, we've been waiting forever, we're not going to miss him, but we didn't want to be like crazy and like start chasing after him. So we walked like the fastest that we could walk without running because we didn't want to seem like crazy fangirls or anything. And so then he saw us, and then he slowed down walking, and then we slowed down, and we met him at the corner of the street, and he was like, hey, and then he shook my hand, and he was like, nice to meet you, and I was like, yes, this is it, finally I'm meeting you after all these years. I couldn't stay out and talk for long. He was like, I'm about to go put on my jammies, but I'm really happy that I finally met him after all this time. So next I met all of Nevershoutnever. I talked about this in like a video like a few weeks ago, but I met Chris before the show and at the signing, and then again after the show. He remembered me again, and it was just so cool getting to talk to him again, and I'm so happy that I got to meet him 3 times this year. He's just someone I've looked up to a lot over the years. I've wanted to meet him more than anyone, so it's really cool that he actually knows who I am now. It's crazy, like he tweeted my video, and he's just the sweetest person ever. Like, he's even nicer in person probably. He's just a really amazing person. There's so many reasons why I look up to him and why I love the music, and I was so happy. And I met Hayden. He was a really funny person, like in a really good mood, and this one girl went to take a picture with him and he was making a face, and then after she walked away and he was like, just so you know, I made a really funny face in your picture. And I don't know, it was just like really silly. Taylor was really friendly too, and he really liked meeting fans. The whole band really seemed to like meeting everybody, and they were really in a good mood. I also talked about the last two people. Met Cameron from the Downtown Fiction. They've been one of my favorite bands for a long time. I knew I'd meet them eventually because the band's from my state. I'm really happy that I finally met him and I got to talk to him for a little bit. I also met David from the Downtown Fiction. I talked to him like I'd known him for a long time. Like a lot of people, it's just like they don't really know what to say to their fans sometimes. But I actually had like a proper conversation with him, and it was like I just like knew him. So yeah, that's everyone I met this year. I counted, I can't remember the number. It was like somewhere between like 19 and 21 bands or something like that. About 20 bands. I met at least one member from about 20 different bands. I never would have guessed that I'd get to meet all these people in the beginning of the year. So it's been a really awesome year meeting all these people, and for a lot of other reasons. I've had a really great year, and I don't even get nervous meeting these band members anymore. So yeah, the top 4 people I wanted to meet this year were actually Chris from Nevershoutnever, Andy from Blackville Brides, Jordan from the Ready Set, and Cameron from the Downtown Fiction, and I just happened to meet all of them. And it's just been a fantastic year. So I hope 2014 is a really amazing year again for me and for all of you. So happy new year, and I'll see you guys soon.